I've been seeing some really disturbing things online in the lifting community, and you know what? I think we need to talk. Man, this was my proudest moment. I think I had 530 pounds on the bar, and that was a PR for me. 47 years old. I think I weighed 202, and I became the number 4 ranked lifter for the age group. 44 to 49 in the USPA. A real good moment, man. It's the first time I realized that even at my age, like, I might actually be an elite lifter. But I've noticed in the news, there's a lot of stuff online that's kind of disturbing me. I've been watching a lot of new channels and now a lot of new lifters, and I read the comments, and I don't always comment, but I read them a lot. And I kind of wanted to talk about some of the stuff that's being put out there that might be misinformation, or maybe people have a bias against. First, I want to talk about the fact that we've lost a lot of lifters this year. We lost my favorite lifter, John Meadows. The guy's a hero to me. I would credit him with. I actually did meet him once, but he doesn't know me, and I don't know him. But I followed all of his videos, him and Dave Tate, and I tailored a lot of my training to his philosophy. There was an Olympia champion that just passed away, and he was in his 40s, and who's a Kelly Muscles in the hospital with heart issues. And the one thing all these guys that have passed away recently have in common is they all use steroids, obviously. And yeah, I read some of the comments surrounding that, and there's a ton of misinformation. As far as like the amount they use, how long they use it for, how bad it is for you. And now, the first thing I want to say is I do not advocate steroid use at all. The second thing I want to say is I am also not natural. When I turned 46, I went on testosterone, and I will admit that for a while there I was using more than the doctor prescribed amount. And I will say that it also works very well. In the past, I've used Anadrol. That was also after I turned 46. I do not currently use anything other than the doctor prescribed amount of TRT. And the first thing I wanted to dispel, the first myth, is that you need to use a ton to get good results. You really don't. A little bit goes a long way. But I will say that the more you use, the better you feel on it. And a lot of guys do get addicted to that Superman feeling. And it's really hard to pass that up. I think what a person has to understand is that any kind of drugs or substances they put in their body is going to have a cumulative effect over time. And I personally think that if you don't have a philosophy or like some core tenets like that you adhere to, reasons to do what you're doing, it's really easy to start doing things for the wrong reason. Myself, when I started this YouTube channel, my goal was, I had this silly notion that I could get enough subscribers, maybe they'd want to see some old dude lifting in his garage. Maybe that hasn't been done before. Hasn't been done before. It's almost ubiquitous. There's probably a million channels just like mine. But I had this silly idea that I could get enough subscribers to maybe get a sponsor or two and make a little money on the side, and it could pay for my competing. And what I noticed was I started getting kind of addicted to the attention, And I was always trying to outdo my previous videos. And it's the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm kind of encourages this. Because I noticed that the views I was getting always seemed to be the bigger or crazier lifts. So I was always trying to do a little bit more than I did the last time. And what this caused was two things. One, at first it was great. I mean, my numbers started skyrocketing. I was really pushing myself harder than I'd ever pushed before. But I was also not sticking to the plan. Now, up until the age of 47, I had always followed a very, very rigid training plan. I logged every lift. I still do. I still track everything. But I cut myself off when I was supposed to. I deloaded when I was supposed to. And I did the little things that allowed me to compete well into my 40s. Well, I stopped doing that when I was 47. Now I'm on testosterone. I'm feeling like a 20-year-old again. I got this YouTube thing going, and I'm just pushing myself to do more and more and more and more. And for the first time in my life, I'm starting to get injured. That's something that never happened to me when I was natural. I made it all the way to 46 years old without a single serious injury. And even though I did have those musculoskeletal issues that I've mentioned in the previous videos that were there and might have been a bomb waiting to happen, I never felt like I was injured or unhealthy. I stopped competing because I got really sick, but that was something entirely different. I wasn't impacted by the sport. And I still want all that stuff to happen with the channel. I kind of really, it's one of the highlights of my day when I get to make these little training videos. And I enjoy the interaction with other lifters, especially since I've been training mostly alone. But I want to be a good ambassador to the sport. And I want to represent things properly. I want to help new lifters. And, maybe help if people work through some biases or misinformation. And I think one of the most important things that a person needs to cultivate is like a principle, a goal. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? I think it's important for every man to be strong and assertive, and we should want to become an expert at something. Maybe you're a musician or an artist, or you're a craftsman, or if you're kind of like me, you're into a little bit of everything. I'm an auto mechanic, a carpenter, or do some kind of metal fabrication. I work on electronics. I'm always tinkering with stuff, but my entire life, I've never really put the effort in to become a master at anything. I was always just kind of half-assing it. I mean, I'm an inherently lazy person, and I never really wanted to put the effort into becoming the best I could at something. And so this is a late start for me. I'm 47 years old, and I'm almost starting from scratch again because I did allow myself to, buy into it, take the bait. I got kind of hooked on you trying to outdo myself, and as a result, life checked me pretty hard. Now I have to, I got to really be careful. I want to continue. The primary reason I always tell my wife why I do what I do is so that when I'm older, because I have young kids and I'm kind of an old father, I'm 47 and I have a 6 and a 9-year-old, is I want to be strong and healthy, and I want to be able to play with them when they get older and participate in sports and all that. But the truth is that goes against how I'm living. It goes against what I'm doing, because I am obsessed with becoming this elite lifter. And I had to ask myself, why am I doing this? And I really think it's important. All you guys that are into lifting, I really want to see, I love seeing passion. I love to see new lifters figure stuff out and become stronger. And I want you guys to become stronger. And you guys are all awesome. Everybody. I mean, it's great. I don't really like a lot of the hateful comments that I see online. I think people they feel threatened when they are themselves mediocre and don't want to put in the effort to becoming better. And it can be very off-putting to people when somebody starts to become successful. I guess if I had to get to the point, like, what is the point of this video? Where are you going with this? Where I'm going with this is I'm disturbed when I read comments that are not useful to a person's path to success, and I see derogatory statements, especially when somebody's trying to show what they feel is an accomplishment. There's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of hatred online, and as a result, I think certain forms of exercises or the use of performance-enhancing drugs, things of that nature, there's a lot of bias against them. And while all of these things can be inherently dangerous, I think that they can also be very useful too. I'd like to see people do a little more research and find out about themselves before they dive into something like that. There's a lot of new lifters that are so impatient, and I think social media has a lot to do with this, because when we get online, we see these elite humans doing these super physiological things, and we judge our own accomplishments to those people, and we feel we don't measure up. So we want to take those shortcuts to be able to, get some of that. And as a result, a lot of people will never truly find out what they're naturally capable of before they go ahead and make the mistake of damaging their bodies with stuff. And a lot of times it's not under doctor direction. I can't stress this enough, guys. Every man should have his blood work done just to see where he's deficient in certain things, or what his body's lacking, or if there's any underlying medical problems that he's not aware of. The other thing I want to urge people to do is to not get sucked in by the lie of YouTube, or what's that other one, TikTok, all of those. They're highly tailored videos that we edit to show our very, very best, and they don't show the mundane in between, the failures, the screw-ups. They paint this picture like we're all these amazing athletes that are just always strong and everything's perfect, and I think what happens as a result is guys, I can only speak for myself, I guess, but for me, what happened was I was always trying to outdo somebody else or something I'd done, to the point where it's unhealthy, to the point where you're injuring yourself. And it can be a huge distraction, especially for newer lifters who desperately need programming more than anybody. I know you all heard that newbie gains were, for 6 months, if you just show up and you're consistent and you go heavy, you're going to have gains no matter what you do. But I will say that is true. But you can also save yourself a lot of misery and injuries and issues that you might have down the road if you give yourself a decent foundation. So the 2 points I'm trying to make is, stay natural as long as you possibly can. As long as you possibly can, until you plateau as a human and you learn yourself, you learn your physiology, you learn how you move, you learn your strengths and your weaknesses. And then at that point, when you start getting a little older and your body starts not being able to compete, well, then at that point, that's a personal decision. At that point, you're informed, you've gotten your blood work done, you see where your test levels are at, and at that, it's a personal decision at that point. Now you're lifting for you're making a choice. If you want to keep trying to improve, yeah, maybe PEDs are the way to go, especially if you're competing. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's illegal in competition. Well, it's not in powerlifting. You're not cheating if you're competing in an open division. And I am against drug use in divisions that have strict drug testing. There's a lot of that goes on. A lot of people cheat. I do not advocate cheating. I find it disgusting, and I will not do it. I could have, when I first started using testosterone, I could have competed probably one more time in the natural division, and there was a meet, and it was the only one in Nevada, and for like 30 seconds I thought about it just to do one. Like, I wasn't But then my conscience got the better of me, thank God. I said, no, that's wrong, and I'm not going to do it. But I know a lot of guys that don't. And it's really easy for a lot of people, especially if they're not elite level lifters, to, get away with it. But cheating is still cheating. Now, I doubt anybody's made it this far in the video, but I guess I'll make a quick summary and then I'll stop talking because this video is starting to ramble on. The 3 things I wanted to really, really touch on was always be encouraging online. Don't be disparaging. Don't say negative comments. Don't make fun of the way people lift. If their form is something you dislike, ask questions. Find out about it. Assume that people are doing things for a reason. The second thing is stay natural. And if you do make the decision to go on performance-enhancing drugs, please, for the love of God, get a doctor involved. A doctor's probably not going to prescribe you stuff, but you can at least get your blood work done. You can at least see if you have underlying health issues. You can take care of yourself. And the third thing is, if you're going to do something like heavy lifting or, barbell sports, have a goal in mind. Get a program. Seek out experts. Lift with others. Become part of the community. We do make each other better. I guarantee that. But you don't want to get caught up in the social media hype. You don't want to let it derail you from your goals. I still think more than anything, it is super important for men to perfect something, to perfect and hone a skill. And I love to see expertise. I don't care if it's lifting. I don't care if you are good a lifter or a bad lifter. I love to see guys improving. I don't judge people by how much they can bench. And I don't know. I think we need to be good ambassadors of the sport, and we need to make sure that we are adding to the positive aspects of the sport. Well, thanks for letting me ramble. Hopefully maybe you got something out of this. I don't know. I thought it was important to talk about because I don't want people to look at me and become disillusioned or think that, I want to be as transparent as possible. I don't want to mislead anybody. And I'm just sharing my honest feelings about some of the stuff that concerns me in this little lifting community that we're nurturing. And I hope it does get bigger. Like I said, I started this channel with the grand idea of getting to the point where I could, make some money. But now, I don't know, it's just kind of cool to be part of a little community. And if you stuck with me this far, I hope maybe to get your subscription. I would still like to grow my channel. Thanks, guys.